Hello, welcome to Ceramics with Miss Tomimitsu. Today I'm going to show you how to make a pinched hanging heart. So again, the technique is pinched, and this is ceramics, so our medium is clay. Now, my heart, on the back side of it, I carved my name, but it's been sitting for a little while, so I want to go over those lines, but I just want to show you that there's a hook, and the technique to make that hook is coiling, and again, the technique to make the other parts, or the other part, the heart, is pinching. As you can see that I already have my hook on two of them and my name on these ones, but sometimes your name, if you do it too early, you have to carve back over it. So would it be advisable to just wait to the end to carve your name, folks? Huh? Yes. Okay, thank you. But when you do that, you can use a needle tool, and you're not really you're not really carving straight on like a 90-degree angle. You're kind of like gliding the needle tool so you don't get clay boogers in there, okay? That's a very technical term. Everyone say clay boogers.
Clay boogers.
Okay, clay boogers are bad.
Clay boogers are bad.
Okay, so thank you to my 6th period Ceramics 1 students and Ceramics 2's in the background over there. Now, I'm going to put these to the side and I'm going to get started. Now, and these are just ones that I pinched out today for other classes, and they're a little bit rough. I still want to smooth them and maybe carve into them, but I'm pretty satisfied. I do want to show you a couple Ceramics 2 students' work this is a Ceramics 1 student, actually. They made this yesterday, and he's not done, but he made this really neat applique. Applique is just a fancy French word for, do you know what's the root word, Ceramics 1, for applique? What do you think? Guess it. Applique. What did they do? To apply, yeah. And you guys, you're not the only class. All day they've been saying apple. But he's still going to work on his carving because his lines are kind of faint, and you want to go a little bit deeper and wider. But he did a really nice applique. So today you'll probably just pinch the first day. The second day, add the appliques if you want, and the carving. And this was a Ceramics 2 student. She came to SOAR and did the carving. And isn't this really unique? This is Max's. Guys, check that out. Okay, so you could do some really nice carving, and you can add the appliques if you'd like. Okay, so I'm gonna put that to the side. Ceramics 2, when I'm done, make sure you take a look at that applique that other student added on. And I'm gonna go ahead and start. So you'll get a chunk. I'll cut a chunk of clay for you, and I'll just cut it off. You have a nice little disc, and you'll form it into a ball. So I already did that, okay? And you'll notice that this clay's a little firmer than the Play-Doh, and it does get on your hands. If your hands start to get really tacky, you don't go to the sink, okay, every time in class. You just dip your hands in the water and kind of scrub your hands in the water that you have at your desk. You have a water sponge and brush. That's our only other tools. And you wipe them off on your apron. If you have really tacky hands, that interferes with pinching, so you want to avoid that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and use just my hands for now. And my thumb is going to get poked right in. And I'm not, all the other demos, and this is where it varies for Ceramics 2 also. You've always seen me make a half circle form, and we're not going to do that, or a half ball or a half sphere form. We're going to poke all the way in, and this is where I advise you to come see Ceramics 2. And I'm going to pinch the bottom out first. And this is what we always do when we're pinching a pot. And then typically I start pinching the middle out, and I'm gonna do this, and you're gonna go slow. Another thing you could do with this clay, because it's so nice and buttery, you could just glide your finger along like this, and you don't even really need to pinch, okay? So I'm opening it up, and this is where it changes. So Ceramics 2, you wanna see this. You wanna take your thumb and just pinch out this wall all the way to the end. That's gonna be the tip of your heart. Does this make sense? Okay. Thank you. Okay, and then I'm going to start pinching from my bottom upwards. Bottom upwards. Can you guys see this? Okay. And I'm going to try to keep it kind of like an avocado shape, or like pear shape. We're Californians. We see avocados maybe more than pears. I don't know. I'm not done yet, but I'm getting really deep, and you want to avoid that because your heart's going to it's too deep. So take your hand, don't pound it on the table, but kind of pound it in your hand, okay? Pound it in your hand so that it's not too deep, okay? And I notice I do that a lot. I go, okay. I'm watching my videos. I get annoyed. But this is a little uneven inside. It really doesn't make much of a difference because it's not the inside shape you're worried about. What is it? The outside, because that's what's going to hang. Now, take my finger and just kind of push here. And this is where I'm going to use the black disc that everyone's going to get. Some of you aren't going to have one of these. You'll just use your desk, or you can use the tray, okay, because we're running short on some of them. I had a class set, but take your finger, and if you put it down on the black disc and you push a little bit, it actually like adheres to the disc, and that air is stuck inside. So then you force the clay to do what you want it to do because it can't move around really because that air is forcing it to stay stable. And I take my index finger and push in here, okay? And then I kind of can hug it with my hands to make that a heart shape. Now, are you starting to see a heart shape there? Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right, so once you have it, peel it back off and go in and pinch the thicker parts. And ceramics too, you always hear me say this, pinch the thicker parts and leave the thin parts alone, okay? This one's pretty even. I'm pretty happy with that. Now, if yours got kind of flat on top, you can always push out now from this point. You can pull the wings out here to make it wider. And can you manipulate this bottom to make it a little bit more fun? Okay, so I'm gonna look at it from this angle. Okay, and you can make it more interesting, and less symmetrical sometimes towards the end. Now, I'm really happy with this one, the way it's forming. And you want to be able to hold it, at a 90-degree angle this way, like it would be hanging on the wall, and look at it from downwards somewhat to see if it's really a heart, from other angles, okay? And sometimes you can even just take the clay, to see what I'm doing, and get really aggressive right in here, ooh, and then mold it out. It's not like the Play-Doh you were practicing with. You can literally disappear some of the clay and take some of the clay off if you want it to be more of a dramatic crease on the heart. Okay, and just have fun with it. Now, if you feel like you have the shape, okay, but it might be rough. This clay that I opened for this class is pretty plastic or soft or bendy. Today they had some firmer stuff, and it was a little bit more difficult for students. If your clay is, you're getting cracks in the clay, that's not called cracks at first, they're just called stretch marks. And to smooth out those stretch marks, sometimes you have to add a little tiny water. Did I add a lot? My finger's barely wet, and you just smear in to get rid of any cracks. I don't have a good example of cracks on this one, but you can always blow dry too, and then smear them later, and then it doesn't mess with the integrity of the shape, but our blow dryers are accessible for you guys. I can pull out the heart in this way, but I'm liking it's a little rough, so I can put this to the side, grab a pinch of clay, and you probably want to pinch off this clay from the clay you're going to get today first before you build it, okay? Before you roll a ball, okay? And when you roll a coil, ceramics too, what do you always do to the table first? You wet it. Now, you don't want it drippy wet. You want it wet it a little bit. You squeeze out the sponge, there's no water, run over it, and you see it's already starting to dry a little bit, okay? It's not gonna be shiny, it's just gonna be damp. So then when you go to roll a little coil, so you have a ball at first, you take that ball and roll it into like a little nugget, and then you take it down on the table, trying to get this, and just roll it out, okay? And if you make one and you want it to be like a little tiny earthworm, or like the thickness of maybe your needle tool. Do you guys see that? So if yours is kind of long, that's okay. Sharing is caring. Can you share with a neighbor? Mm-hmm. Can you get that? That's okay, on a little tiny part, not a whole project, but a little part of a project. So I can make this little hook, okay? Ceramics too, you're gonna wanna see this part. You take this, and while it's plastic, we're gonna cheat, okay? Typically, ceramics too, when you connect an applique, what do you need to do? What plasticity does the clay need to be? Leather hard. And what do you need to do then? Score and slip. But this is so plastic that we can just take it. Can you guys all see it? And make sure you lay it over the clay, not just at it. And you smear in, okay? so that this little hook, you can hang it from that hook. And you might want to flatten this part a little bit. Okay, so that your nail or your tack or whatever it is you're using can be on it nicely. Okay, or it'll hang from that nicely. But make sure you have a hole big enough, like the negative space is bigger than the needle tool width, girth. So because shrinkage, and you want, if you have a tack, you know, it's gonna be, and I can even go in and kind of shape it, you know, for like, okay, but that's gotta be really smoothed in really well. And I can do this more when it's gotten a little firm, because see, it's a little soft and it's falling. So if you do this on day one, this is it. That's all you're gonna do. I'm gonna lay it back on the disc, and on day one, you just take your bag. For instance, I'm just gonna steal someone's bag right now, and you slide it in the bag, and you'll put it on a tray and bag it for the night. And if you leave air in there, you want to close the bag all the way. But if you leave some air in there, it'll help it dry out a little bit overnight. Does this make sense? And if you get done early, you can blow dry a little bit. Okay. All right. Do we have any questions? This is the time to ask them. We're good to go? All right. So a bulbous heart has started. And if you, again, you're encouraged to watch these videos in the evening. And for my viewers at home, don't forget to like, subscribe, and what do you do then?
Smash that notification bell.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.